guys, welcome to another episode of the Creative Mountain Mama podcast. I am joined by Kaysyn from Kaysyn Krystal Photography. She is a Western photographer, and she is all about recording the Western lifestyle and romanticizing life, as well as educating people about the Western culture. It's been so overblown in the media, so I'm super excited to be joined by you, Kaysyn. Welcome.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
So you are based in Meeker. Do you have any funny stories to start us off?
Yes, so here in Meeker, I just bought my own little place, and it's a single wide 1979. It's the cutest thing ever. It's painted bright blue. I love it. But anyway, my grandpa and my uncle came over because I have some steps that don't have hand railings, and they just thought that they absolutely needed to have some hand railings. So I have two daughters. One is 4 and one is 3. And so while my grandpa and my uncle are over here putting the steps in together, the girls are running around, helping them, grabbing tools, everything. And it was like a really fun moment to watch them interact. But anyway, when it was all done, Bexley, my 3-year-old, she usually has me hold her hand down the steps. So the next morning, we get out to the porch and she turns around and she has the biggest attitude ever. And she turns around and she goes, "Mommy, I don't need your help anymore because we have a railing." And I was like, okay, look, we have this railing and it's like the highlight of her day. And now every single time we come home, she tells me, "Mommy, we have railing now." And I'm like, great, perfect.
Bexley is a beautiful name. I love that name.
Thank you.
You started out in outfitting. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, so pretty much my entire family, they are all outfitters here in Meeker. So we kind of have this joke of like we own the mountain that we outfit on, the Flat Tops Wilderness, because we're all up there. So as a teenager, I always helped my aunt, Sable Mountain Outfitters, and I would do pack trips and stay up on the mountain with her and things like that. But after I got done playing college basketball, I decided to work for my aunt, and I was like full time for 2 years. Every single day, I'm up on the mountain. We packed in summer camps, fishermen, families, and then it would switch into hunting season, and then we would do hunters and pack all their gear in, and then pack their elk out once they harvested and all that. But yeah, so family of outfitters. I've been doing it since I was 15-ish. And then now my family just purchased 6 years ago now, Trappers Lake Lodge, and we do the same thing up there. So
Is that outside of Meeker proper?
yes, so Trappers were considered Meeker still, but we are 50 miles like southeast-ish. Like we're right next to the Flat Tops Wilderness, and we're in the White River National Forest. So
Awesome elk herds. And are you guys able to kind of keep dibs on herd movements throughout the year?
I mean, because it's public, we we just see them when we're riding, and we see them all the time, which is so cool. This last couple years has actually been a little hard on the elk herds, just because of the winter kill and other things like that. So we're able to monitor them and help our hunters out when it comes to time for hunting season and harvesting and just tracking them. But I will say that it's been hard with the winter kill. And then, the Colorado wolf reintroduction is another big thing that we're going to see how that affects our life. The elk herd, the population, there's so many factors in there. But yeah.
Are you guys running horses, or are they donkeys or mules?
So we have, my family, we have 50 horses and mules. It's kind of like a toss up. Yeah. So we have all those guys. And we prefer to do the horses just because most of them ride and pack, and our mules mostly just pack. And so having horses that are, can do both is more cost effective for us. But on the other hand, my aunt with Stable Mountain Outfitters, she has close to 100 horses and mules. So, yep, that's how we do everything. Because in the wilderness, you can't have anything motorized, or technically, you're not even supposed to have a cell phone up there, because they're preserving natural life. And so we pack everything in on horses or mules, and our clients, they either can ride or they can hike in. It's either one.
And are clients able to book with you photography for those trips?
Yes. So part of what I do is I'm in a like a Western lifestyle or like an adventure photographer. I've documented so many hunts for people, and I'll write up and stay at camp and document their entire experience, and it's really fun. And then not only that, I do lots of family shoots up at Trappers Lake at our cabins because we have cabins too. And it's a very special place for a lot of people who have been visiting for the last 50 years. So I do that. And then sunset rides too. I've done a lot of engagement sessions, and it's like so magical. We get up there and we're at the lake, and one of them, it was just supposed to be like a couple, and then he proposed. And it was so cool. But yes, I get to do all of that capturing of life and like the romantic moments, because there's so much romance between just riding horses, being up on the mountain, and then there is a romance behind the outfitting, and harvesting an elk the way that people do on the wilderness, because it's truly like going back in time. You're not in a side by side. You're not chasing the herd. You're going to have to go stalk or sit and wait, and you have to watch the patterns. So it's like very romantic as far as traveling back in time. People are cooking their food on the fire, staying in wall tents. It's awesome.
What are some misconceptions that you have to deal with?
Um, a lot of it is people think that we are like overrunning or not preserving the wilderness, or taking advantage of the elk herd, that's up there. So we battle that a lot, and it's through education. So we are advocates for the wilderness and the Wilderness Act and just nature. And so when we do invite people to come stay with us or use our services for packing, it's not just we're sending them up there and we're like, okay, lots of people in the wilderness. It's our opportunity to educate. Okay, so the wilderness is no motorized, nothing with a wheel. Like this is the wilderness. So we battled that a lot. Because, like I said, people think that we're just trying to get everybody up there, but it's an opportunity for us to educate. And then with the elk, um, it's the same thing. We want to educate, we want good, ethical hunters. And it's almost kind of like an interview process for us up here. Just making sure it's the right people. And you're going to get most of the time the right people just because of how challenging the hunt is. And it's truly a hunt. And it's not trophy hunting, it's purely harvesting and herd management. So, touching back a little bit on our poor elk herd, the population, the Outfitters Association met, and they are limiting tags. And so that's another thing that we battle too, is people think that we're just out here to decimate the herd. And that's not at all. Like we want it to be a healthy, managed herd.
Yeah. So you are very much so contributing, educating, preserving, and all of the weight of those words.
Yes. It's our number one goal. Our mission statement is to preserve the wilderness and educate. And that's what I do. That's what we do through Trappers. That's what I do through my photography. I'm here to educate the rest of the world on our life and how wholesome and wonderful it is. It's amazing.
What were some of the most influential lessons from outfitting?
Oh my gosh. So just the flow and stillness that's in outfitting. So when I came back and I started working for my aunt full time, um, it was every day up at 5 or 4:30, and not getting back to the barn until 7, 8. It was a lot, but a lot of it was out of cell coverage. And so it was just it took me back and made me realize and really hone in on the important things of life and enjoying all the little things. So I will never forget one moment we packed into camp and we were hosting a young group of boys, and I'm out with the horses in there's this big park right before Marvine Lake. And we turn the horses out so they can graze, and somebody has to sit there and watch them, make sure they don't go back down the trail. So I'm sitting there and I'm just looking at all the beauty, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't get any closer to God than in this moment. And my heart, like, it was the craziest thing. I just felt like this release when I was up there. And it was like I was safe. I felt so in touch with my like spiritual side, and just I was like, it doesn't get any better. And at that moment, that was so pivotal for my life because I went from this crazy culture from college basketball, like fast paced, everybody's competing and everybody's out to get you and you're trying to take the next spot. It's like that when you play at that next level. And then I came into this like super slow, like nobody's out to get you, like life is so good, you're just so slow, and it literally saved my life. It changed my life that summer. And that was the pivotal moment, and I was like, I can never go back to any other lifestyle than this lifestyle. This is where I belong, and it's the closest thing, and it gives me all of the faith, like it encouraged me to strengthen my faith with God and kept me, I don't know, together. It was just a great experience.
That's a good word because people are wrapped up in the fast-paced living, in the competition and corporate world. Same thing can be said there, right? Is there
Yes.
anything, practically speaking, that helps to keep your life in that kind of simple state of living?
Just like slowing down and romanticizing every single moment, turning from that fast-paced living, I realized there's so much romance in even washing dishes. Like I remind myself that all the time. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so blessed that I get to wash these dishes. I'm so blessed that I have running water. I'm so blessed that I have two beautiful daughters that I get to take care of and nurture and feed and influence. And, and that's what keeps me in check is romanticizing all of it. And then you really get to see how blessed you are when you start romanticizing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And is there anything about motherhood that has kept you in that, because it can be chaos, right? In that
Mhm.
way of living just a little bit slower?
Yeah, so when I wasn't expecting to get pregnant with my first, especially, or my second, and they were kind of weird fluke deals. And so anyway, just with the girls, and I do the same thing, like, because sometimes there is chaos and they're running around like crazy and screaming. And part of me wants to be like, just stop. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. But then in that moment, instead of like turning to like my overwhelmed self, I turn to like the romanticizing self. And I'm like, oh my gosh, look at how much fun they're having running around like crazy. And just like almost putting myself in their shoes and being like, oh my gosh, there's so much joy Nobody's hurt. Nobody's like doing anything dangerous. They're just so joyful. And I think as parents, we forget, mothers, especially when we're with our babies all the time, we like want them to just sit. But I think just romanticizing their feelings is really important in order to kind of slow down and enjoy the chaos. Like for me, I embrace it. I'm just like, it's chaos and it's so awesome because they're having the time of their life. So,
And it's such a short season. They will be chaos and then they will be seated adults before you know it.
yes, yes, exactly. So that kind of goes back to my funny story with Bexley at the beginning. Like, just the day before, she wants, Mommy, hold my hand. Mommy, I can't go down the stairs without you. And then we get the railing, and now she doesn't want me to help her. And so, those moments of maybe where I'm frustrated, like, just walk down the stairs. Like, you don't need my hand to hold you. And then now she doesn't want my hand. And it's like, should have romanticized that moment a little bit more. Like, my baby needed me. And then it goes by so fast.
And that chapter is already passed.
Yep.
In
Yep,
the
it's gonna make me all teary-eyed.
I know. I'm sorry. I was like, should I say this?
Oh no, you're good.
In the hard moments, are there any Bible verses that you lean on?
Yes. Thessalonians. It's 5:15-22. This one I keep like really close to my heart at all times because I feel like it applies to so many different situations and scenarios. So see that no one pays back evil for evil, but always try to do good to each other and to all people. Always be joyful, never stop praying, be thankful in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you who belong to Christ Jesus. Do not stifle the Holy Spirit. Do not scoff at prophecies, but test everything that is said. Hold on to what is good. Stay away from every kind of evil. So that is, like I said, every part of my life. Like I go back to that verse because you're not going to get anywhere paying back evil with evil, and always be good. That's the biggest thing. Always be good and be good to everybody and be good to everything and never stop praying. That's my thing. I probably pray 20 times a day or more every single day, and it's about everything. I'm so grateful for my life that I was blessed with. So
Does that help you to decide on the next step and guide you to the next step and make decisions?
yes, absolutely. So I follow what I call my golden rules, my 4 golden rules. And whenever I'm making decisions, I talk about sticking to those so I don't get decision fatigue, because humans, we don't have the capacity to make all the decisions that maybe we have to make. And so if we have a list of really quick what to go through, then it helps us. So my number one is, does this benefit or produce a better life for my daughters and myself? Um, that's my number one whenever I'm making a decision. And then number two, does it bring joy or happiness to our life? And not everything's going to bring joy and happiness, but I mean, it's a good thing to think about. Like even when it comes down to like what you're doing that day, I think you should always have something that brings you joy and happiness. And then benefiting our health, that's my number three. Does this benefit our health? And then does it provide a memorable experience in a positive environment? So that's down to even cooking in the kitchen. I invite my girls to cook with me because those are memorable moments. There might be a huge disaster afterwards, but it's okay. And it's those romantic moments. I don't know. And then doing the good and being good by everybody and not like paying back with evil, that also does. So like maybe somebody's super mean to me. I have this on a weekly basis. Somebody trying to come at me with something, and I just go back to that verse and I'm like, okay, don't return evil to evil. So be good to everybody.
So good. Trust God's justice. It's not our responsibility. It's a good reminder.
Yes. Yes.
So practically speaking, if someone wants to book a getaway with you guys, do they need to make a draw for an elk tag in that area? And then can they stay with you? And then how do they book photography?
Okay, so for trappers, we are open in June to October. So anybody could come join us between those months, and either stay at summer camp, we'll pack you in, or at one of our cabins. We also have a restaurant on site, so very family friendly. You can book those kind of services online at our website. Now, as far as hunting, because of the limited tags, somebody would have to put in for a draw. And so that's already happened now. But you could still apply for second draw. It's kind of like a leftover and it's all lottery. Well, you have to have preference points in order to draw some of the units in our area. So I could go into detail a lot more if somebody was interested, or I can direct them to Alan. He's my stepdad and he does all of the outfitting and he's awesome. But that would be my recommendation. Go to our website, look through all of the things that we have to offer, and then you can reserve or reach out depending on which service that you want. And then photography, people can text me, email me, DM me on Instagram, Facebook, any platform, just reach out. I'm happy to, talk about what you're needing as far as your photography service. I do events, I do weddings, engagements, family, documenting life, ranch life, everything. So just reach out and I can probably help it out.
Tell your own story in the western slope of Colorado. It is as romantic as it seems. Thanks to you.
It is.
Thank you so much for joining me, Kaysyn. I really appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you for having me. What a fun little session we've had, and it's been great to get to know you and find a connection, small town life. And I just think it's amazing what you're doing here and inviting women on here to help other women through seasons, because it's hard. And if we can all stick together and help talk each other through, then you're doing a great thing.
Thank you.